Black boy spent his last $15 helping the Hells Angel. 100 motorcyclists brought him a gift that changed his life. "Hey kid, get out of the way before I call the police," shouted the pharmacy manager, pointing his finger at the 14-year-old boy who was kneeling next to an unconscious man in the parking lot. Kevin Washington looked at the crumpled $15 in his hand, the money he had earned washing cars all day under the scorching Detroit sun. It was all he had to buy asthma medicine for his 8-year-old sister Destiny. But there, on the cold asphalt, a giant biker wearing a Hells Angels vest was having a heart attack. The man was in his 50s, with a gray beard, arms covered in tattoos, and a face purple from lack of air. His lips were turning blue. Kevin knew what that meant. He had seen the same thing happen to his grandfather before he died. "It's not your problem, kid," growled a white customer leaving the pharmacy with his bag. "These guys are criminals. Let the police deal with it." A middle-aged woman stopped beside him, shaking her head in disgust. "What kind of example are you setting, boy? Getting involved with these people? Didn't your parents teach you any better?" Kevin felt anger burning in his chest, but he kept his focus on the dying man. He had grown up in the most dangerous neighborhood in Detroit, where his nurse mother worked 3 jobs to support the family on her own. She always said, "Kevin, when someone needs help, you help them. No matter who they are." The motorcyclist opened his eyes weakly and whispered, My medicine, in my pocket." Kevin searched the pockets of the leather jacket and found a bottle of nitroglycerin. It was empty. "I need aspirin, quick." Kevin shouted to the pharmacy manager, who was standing in the doorway with his arms crossed. "I don't sell anything to minors," he replied coldly. "And certainly not to help criminals." Kevin looked at the dying man, then at the $15 in his hand. Destiny needed that medicine to breathe. But this man needed it to live. He got up, ran into the pharmacy, and grabbed a box of aspirin and a bottle of water. He slammed the $15 on the counter. "This is for a medical emergency. Will you sell it to me or not?" The manager rolled his eyes, took the money, and didn't even give him change. Kevin ran back. He broke 2 aspirin tablets and put them in the motorcyclist's mouth. "Chew. It'll help." For 10 minutes, Kevin stood there, holding the man's head, telling him not to give up, ignoring the judgmental stares of passersby. Some filmed with their cell phones, probably waiting for the worst to post on social media. When the ambulance finally arrived, the paramedic looked at Kevin in surprise. "Did you give him aspirin?" "Yes, sir." "Kid, you saved this man's life." A few more minutes, and it would have been too late. As they carried the motorcyclist to the stretcher, he grabbed Kevin's hand tightly. "What's your name, kid?" "Kevin Washington." "Kevin," the man coughed. "My name is Razor. You saved me. I won't forget." When the ambulance left, Kevin was alone in the parking lot. No money. No medicine for Destiny. And with the feeling that he had done the right thing at the wrong time. What Kevin didn't know was that Razor had whispered something to the paramedic before losing consciousness. 2 words that would change everything. And what no one there could have imagined was that this tattooed criminal had secrets that would transform Kevin Washington's entire life in a way that even the most optimistic could not have predicted. If you're enjoying this story of how an act of kindness can change everything, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to find out what Razor whispered and how 100 bikers would show up at Kevin's door a few days later. Kevin walked through the dark streets of Detroit with his hands empty in his pockets, each step echoing the reality that awaited him at home. 3 blocks before reaching the building where he lived, he could already hear it. The sound that chilled his blood. Destiny was having an asthma attack. He ran up the stairs 2 at a time to the 3rd floor, where his mother, Tracy Washington, held her daughter in her lap, trying to calm her as the girl struggled to breathe. "Where's the medicine, Kevin?" Tracy asked, her eyes red from exhaustion after a double shift at the hospital. "You said you'd pick it up today." Kevin hung his head. "Mom, Don't tell me you lost the money, Kevin. Please don't tell me that." "I didn't lose it. I saved a man's life. He was dying, and I had to use the money to buy aspirin." Tracy closed her eyes, rocking Destiny, who was still wheezing as she tried to breathe. "Kevin, my love, you have a heart of gold, but sometimes..." She stopped, seeing the pain in her son's eyes. "Let's go to the hospital. I'll ask the head nurse for a free sample." At the emergency room where Tracy worked, Things were different than Kevin expected. The head nurse, a white woman in her 50s named Sandra, looked at them with barely concealed disapproval. "Tracy, you know I can't just hand out free medication. This isn't a charity center." "Sandra, it's for my daughter. Just one dose until I can buy it. Your family needs to learn to take financial responsibility. I can't solve every personal problem my employees have." Kevin saw the humiliation in his mother's eyes. Tracy Washington, who saved lives every day, was being treated like a beggar. "I have money," Kevin lied, pulling $2.50 in coins from his pocket. "Is that enough?" Sandra laughed contemptuously. "Kid, this medicine costs $60. Do you think this is a convenience store?" Dr. Mitchell, a black doctor who was passing by, stopped when he heard the conversation. "What's going on here?" "Tracy's family problem," Sandra said, as if it were something contagious. Dr. Mitchell quickly examined Destiny and administered a free dose of the bronchodilator. "It's taken care of," he said, ignoring Sandra's angry glare. As they were leaving, Kevin heard Sandra comment to another nurse, "These people always have an excuse. I bet the kid spent the money on something stupid and now he's made up this hero story." Kevin stopped. He turned slowly. "Would you like to see the video?" he asked, holding up his cell phone. "Someone filmed me saving the man. Or would you rather continue to believe that poor black people only do bad things?" Sandra blushed. "Don't be rude, kid." "Kevin, let's go," said Tracy, pulling her son away. But Kevin had inherited something from his mother, the courage to stand up to injustice. "No, Mom. She needs to know that we're not what she thinks we are." Dr. Mitchell approached. "What's this story about saving someone?" Kevin quickly told him about Razor, the pharmacy, and the $15. Dr. Mitchell listened silently, then looked at Sandra. "You're judging a child who saved a life with his family's money. That says more about you than it does about him." Sandra left without saying a word. On the way home, Tracy held her son's hand. "Kevin, I need to tell you something. About your father." Kevin had grown up thinking his father had abandoned them. But at 14 that night, he learned the truth. Your father was a paramedic. Marcus Washington. He died saving a family in a car accident when you were 2 years old. He dove into the river to pull a child out of the sinking car. Kevin stopped walking. He was like you, Kevin. He saw someone in need and couldn't ignore them. That's why I can't be mad at you for helping that man. It's who you are. It's who your father was. Tracy took a crumpled photo out of her wallet. A black man in a paramedic uniform, smiling, holding a baby, Kevin. He always said, "Tracy, a person's life is worth more than any amount of money." And he was right. That night, Kevin lay down looking at the photo of his father. Destiny slept peacefully in the next room, breathing normally after her medication. At 2 a.m., the phone rang. Tracy answered sleepily. "Hello. Mrs. Washington? My name is Cole. I'm a friend of the man your son saved today. Razor asked me to call." "It's late, sir. We're asleep." "Sorry for the time, but it's important. Razor is fine. And he wants to meet your family. Can I come by tomorrow morning?" Tracy looked at Kevin, who had woken up with the noise. "Who's Razor?" "The man Kevin saved. Ma'am, your son did something extraordinary today. We want to repay him." "We don't want money," Tracy said proudly. "It's not about money. It's about recognizing what Kevin did. And showing that not all adults are like that nurse at the hospital." Tracy hesitated. Kevin nodded yes. "All right. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. When she hung up, Kevin asked, "Mom, do you think I did the right thing?" Tracy kissed her son's forehead. "Kevin, you did exactly what your father would have done. And I've never been more proud." What they didn't know was that Cole had lied about one thing. It wouldn't just be him showing up the next morning. And what Kevin couldn't have imagined was that moment of judgment at the hospital, the humiliation his family had suffered, had been seen by someone very powerful who was about to change everything. Because sometimes, when you do the right thing for the right reasons, the universe conspires to show you that kindness is the most powerful force there is, even when everyone around you insists on betting on cruelty. The next morning, Kevin woke up at 6 a.m. as usual, but something was different. Destiny was breathing normally, playing with an old doll on the living room floor. Tracy was making watery coffee, the last of the pot. "Mom, do you think that man Cole was serious?" Kevin asked, looking out the window. "I don't know, sweetheart. But rich people promise a lot when they're grateful. Then they forget." At 9:45 a.m., Kevin was nervous. At 9:50 a.m., he heard a distant sound that made his heart race. Engines. Lots of engines. Tracy ran to the window. "Oh my God. Kevin, come see this." 10 Hells Angels motorcycles were parking in front of the building. Neighbors began to appear at their windows, some calling the police. Kevin saw Cole getting off one of the bikes. "Mom, they really came." Tracy smoothed her simple dress, the best she had. "Kevin, be polite, but careful. We don't know what they want yet." Cole went up alone. He knocked gently on the door. "Mrs. Washington? It's Cole. We spoke last night." Tracy opened the door. Cole was a white man in his mid-30s with short hair and none of the tattoos typical of other bikers. He was wearing jeans and a simple t-shirt, not the Hells Angels vest. "Can I come in? I have a few things to explain before the others come up." They sat down in the small living room. Cole looked around, the peeling walls, the old sofa, the tube TV that barely worked. "First, I want you to know who Razor really is. His real name is Robert Martinez. He's 52 years old and a multimillionaire." Kevin and Tracy looked at each other, confused. Razor owns 3 construction companies in Detroit. He employs over 400 people. But 15 years ago, he almost died of an overdose. He was saved by a paramedic. Tracy swallowed hard. "A paramedic?" "Marcus Washington. Your husband, Kevin. Your father." Silence filled the room. Kevin felt his legs shaking. Razor never forgot the name of the man who saved him. When Kevin said his last name yesterday, it all made sense. Razor spent years looking for Marcus's family to thank them. Tracy began to cry quietly. Cole continued. After Marcus saved his life, Razor decided to change. He quit drugs, built companies, and started helping disadvantaged communities. All in honor of the man who gave him a second chance. "That's why the Hells Angels?" Kevin asked. Razor uses the group for social projects. They raise money, build houses, help families. They are businessmen, mechanics, teachers. The image of criminals is just a stereotype. Kevin looked out the window. The bikers were organizing something on the street. "What are they doing down there?" Cole smiled. "Preparing a surprise. But first, I need to tell you what happened at the hospital last night." "At the hospital?" Tracy frowned. Dr. Mitchell called Razor. He told him about Nurse Sandra, how she treated you guys. Razor was furious. Cole took out his cell phone and showed a photo. Sandra getting into a brand new BMW. Sandra makes $120,000 a year, lives in a mansion in West Bloomfield. Last night, she posted on Facebook about these people who go to the hospital faking emergencies to get free medicine. Kevin felt anger burning in his chest. "She posted about us?" "Yes. In detail. She said you probably made up the Hells Angel story to get attention." Tracy clenched her fists. "That woman." "There's more. Sandra has a history. 7 complaints of racial discrimination in the last 3 years. All dismissed because she has protection from management." Cole put his phone away. "Razor wants to do something about it. But he needs your permission." "What kind of thing?" Tracy asked cautiously. "Nothing illegal. Nothing violent. Just public exposure of the truth." Kevin looked at his mother. "Mom, she humiliated our family. She humiliated Dad's name." Tracy hesitated. "What exactly do you want to do?" Cole explained the plan. Simple, but devastating. After 30 minutes, Tracy agreed. "But no violence. No threats." "Word of honor," said Cole. He went to the window and waved. The bikers began to climb up. First came Razor, moving slowly, still recovering. When he saw Kevin, his eyes filled with tears. "Kevin Washington. Son of the man who saved my life. They embraced. Razor turned to Tracy. Mrs. Washington, your husband gave me a second chance 15 years ago. Now I want to repay that to your family. Other bikers came in, carrying boxes. Inside, new clothes for Kevin and Destiny, a year's supply of asthma medication, money for rent and food. This is just the beginning, Razor said. Kevin, your act yesterday reminded me why I started helping people. You have the same heart as your father. An older biker named Maria approached Tracy. I've been a nurse for 25 years. I know Sandra from the hospital. She's a disgrace to our profession. Are you really going to confront her? Tracy asked. We're not going to confront her, Razor said, smiling. We're going to educate her. At 2 p.m., 30 motorcycles pulled up to Detroit Metropolitan Hospital. The Hells Angels walked calmly to the reception desk, all wearing vests and sunglasses. Sandra was at the nursing station when she saw them. Her face paled. Can I help you? Stammered the receptionist. Yes, said Razor, loud enough for the entire lobby to hear. We're here to publicly thank Nurse Sandra for the exemplary way she treated the Washington family last night. Sandra tried to hide behind the computer. Dr. Mitchell appeared, smiling discreetly. He knew what was going on. Sandra, Dr. Mitchell called. There are people here who want to talk to you. Sandra had no choice. She approached slowly, trembling. Nurse Sandra, Razor said, his voice echoing through the crowded hospital. We want to thank you for showing your true colors last night. Maria, the motorcycle nurse, stepped forward. Did you know that Nurse Sandra makes $120,000 a year, lives in a mansion, and drove an $80,000 BMW to work today? Yet yesterday she refused to help an 8-year-old child who needed asthma medication. Whispers began to spread through the lobby. Patients and family members paid attention. Did you also know that she posted on Facebook about this family, calling them those people, and insinuating that they made up a medical emergency? The whispers turned into audible outrage. Sandra tried to speak. You don't understand. We understand perfectly, Razor interrupted. You judged a working family based on the color of their skin and their financial situation. Dr. Mitchell approached. Sandra, I need to talk to you. Now. While Sandra was taken to a room, the bikers spread out throughout the hospital. They talked to patients, families, other staff members. They told Kevin's story, how a 14-year-old boy spent his last $15 to save a life. Within 2 hours, the entire hospital knew the story. More importantly, everyone knew about Sandra. When the Hells Angels left, they left behind something Sandra could never erase. The truth. In the administration office, Sandra cried while the hospital director, Dr. Patterson, read the complaints that had been piling up against her. Sandra, this can't go on. I'm transferring you to the night shift, records department. No contact with patients. Sandra knew her career had just collapsed. All because she underestimated a 14-year-old black boy and his family. Back at the Washington apartment, Kevin looked out the window as the bikers prepared to leave. Razor, Kevin called. Why did you do that for us? Razor put his hand on the boy's shoulder. Kevin, there are people in this world who judge others by their appearance, the color of their skin, the money they have. Last night, you judged me only because I needed help. That's rare. He pointed to the framed photo of Marcus Washington on the coffee table. Your father taught me that saving a life is worth any sacrifice. You've learned the same lesson. Now it's our turn to give back. Razor handed Tracy an envelope. Inside is the address of our headquarters. Kevin, I want you to come visit us. We have a mentoring program for young people. I teach mechanics, management, community leadership. Kevin opened the envelope. In addition to the address, there was a check. His eyes widened. $50,000. For college, Razor said. And so Destiny will never run out of medicine again. Tracy burst into tears. Kevin hugged Razor again. But what none of them could have imagined was that Sandra, in her fury and desperation, was planning a reprisal that would test the strength of this new alliance in ways no one could have predicted. And what Kevin didn't know yet was that his act of kindness had created ripples that would spread far beyond Detroit, touching lives in places he never dreamed existed. Because sometimes, when you choose to do the right thing without thinking about the consequences, the universe not only rewards your courage, it multiplies it in ways your mind can't even imagine, proving that true strength lies not in defeating enemies, but in turning strangers into family through the unbreakable power of human compassion. The following Monday, Sandra arrived at work hoping the storm had passed. But when she parked her BMW in the spot reserved for supervisors, she noticed something strange. There were TV cameras in the parking lot. "Nurse Sandra Morrison?" asked a blonde reporter, quickly approaching with a microphone. "Rachel Anderson, WXYZ News Detroit. Can we talk about your Facebook posts about the Washington family?" Sandra turned pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Your posts have been shared more than 50,000 times since yesterday," Rachel continued, showing her cell phone. "Did you really call an 8-year-old with asthma a fake, and say that black people make up medical emergencies?" Sandra tried to run into the hospital, but more cameras appeared. The entire parking lot was surrounded. Dr. Patterson, the director, intercepted her at the door. "Sandra, my office. Now." Inside the hospital, the atmosphere was tense. Employees whispered in the hallways. Patients pointed discreetly. Everyone knew. In the director's office, Sandra found a table full of printed documents. Screenshots of her Facebook posts, complaint emails, online petitions calling for her resignation. 15,000 signatures in 24 hours, said Dr. Patterson, showing her an online petition. Patients canceling appointments. Donors threatening to cut funding. "Sandra, you've destroyed this hospital's reputation." "It was just a misunderstanding," Sandra stammered. "I was stressed, I didn't mean to." Dr. Patterson interrupted. "There's more. The Detroit News investigated your record. 7 discrimination complaints in 3 years. All dismissed because you have had political protection." He slid another document across the desk. "Your resignation. Effective immediately." Sandra felt her world collapse. "You can't do this. I have rights, a union." "The union voted to expel you last night. Unanimously." Outside in the hallway, Dr. Mitchell was talking to Tracy Washington, who had been promoted to morning shift supervisor, the position that had previously been Sandra's. "Tracy, you're going to do very well in this position," Dr. Mitchell said. "We need more people like you and Kevin in this world." Back at the Washington apartment, an incredible transformation had taken place. Razor's money had allowed them to move to a better neighborhood. Kevin was now attending a private school on a full scholarship obtained through the Hells Angels mentoring program. But the real change was in Kevin himself. 3 months after the incident at the pharmacy, he was already leading a community program that connected inner-city youth with business mentors. 12 teenagers participated, learning business, mechanics, and leadership skills. Razor had given Kevin something more valuable than money: purpose. "Kevin," Razor said during one of his weekly visits, "I want to show you something." They drove to a vacant lot in the heart of the neighborhood where Kevin had grown up. A sign read, "Future Home of the Marcus Washington Community Center." Kevin read his father's name and his eyes filled with tears. "It's going to be a vocational training center, free medical clinic, and mentoring program," Razor explained. "All funded by our organization. And you're going to run the youth program." "Me? But I'm only 14. Your father was 23 when he saved me. You have the same heart as him. Age is just a number." Meanwhile, Sandra faced a very different reality. Fired, with no professional references, she had also lost her engagement. Her ex-fiancé, a respected doctor, couldn't handle his name being associated with the scandal. She now worked as an attendant at a veterinary clinic in the suburbs, earning a third of what she had before. Her BMW had been repossessed by the bank. She drove a used car with engine problems. A year later, Sandra was at the supermarket when she saw Kevin on the cover of Detroit Today magazine. Young hero turns tragedy into hope. The article told how Kevin had helped 50 families through the mentoring program, mediated racial conflicts in the community, and planned to expand the center to other cities. Sandra read about Kevin's accomplishments, then looked at her shopping cart: generic products, discount coupons, the reality of someone who had lost everything because of his own prejudice. That same week, the Marcus Washington Center was inaugurated. Hundreds of people attended, including the mayor, local business leaders, and the entire Hell's Angels community. Kevin, now 15, addressed the crowd. My father saved Razor's life 15 years ago without knowing who he was. Razor taught me that kindness creates ripples that spread forever. This center is proof that when we choose to see people, not prejudices, we can change the world. In the audience, Dr. Mitchell applauded alongside Tracy, now the hospital's director of nursing. Destiny, breathing freely with her new state-of-the-art inhaler, waved to her brother on stage. Razor approached the microphone. Kevin Washington is proof that heroes don't wear capes. They wear courage. And sometimes, they spend their last $15 to save strangers. The crowd erupted in applause. Cole, who had become Kevin's personal mentor, whispered to Razor, "Marcus would be proud." "He is proud," Razor replied, looking up at the sky. "Somewhere he is." After the ceremony, a woman approached Kevin hesitantly. It was Sandra, thin, prematurely gray hair, simple clothes. "Kevin? I wanted to apologize." Kevin recognized her immediately. Nurse Sandra. "Former nurse," she corrected, embarrassed. "I lost my job. I lost everything. And I deserved it." Kevin studied her face. He saw genuine regret, not self-pity. "Thank you for apologizing," Kevin said simply. "It means a lot." Sandra began to cry. "I was so prejudiced, so cruel. You are incredible people, and I judged you by the color of your skin, by your financial situation." "Ma'am," Kevin said gently, "my mother always says that people can change. If you've truly changed, maybe we can help you." Sandra looked at him, incredulous. "After everything I've done?" "My father saved Razor's life when he was at rock bottom. Second chances transform lives. Do you really want a second chance?" Sandra nodded, sobbing. Kevin called Cole. "Cole, Sandra needs a job. She has medical experience. Maybe at the community center." Cole hesitated, then saw the determination in Kevin's eyes. "Sandra, are you willing to volunteer first? To prove you've changed?" "Yes," she whispered. "Anything." 6 months later, Sandra was working as a volunteer nurse at the center's free clinic, caring for the very families she had once despised. Each day was a lesson in humility and growth. Kevin watched from the window as Sandra carefully administered a vaccine to a black child, talking softly, showing the kindness she had learned through her own downfall. "She's really changed," Tracy commented, joining her son in watching. "People can change, Mom," Kevin said. Dad believed that. Razor proved it. And now Sandra is proving it too. Kevin had learned something that few discover so young. True strength lies not in destroying enemies, but in turning them into allies through the power of second chances guided by true responsibility. The prejudice that had nearly destroyed his family had become the catalyst for a transformation that touched hundreds of lives. Sandra, who once represented everything wrong with the system, now worked to fix it. And somewhere, Marcus Washington smiled, knowing that his son had learned the most important lesson of all, that true revenge is not destroying those who hurt you, but to turn pain into purpose and hatred into an opportunity to build a better world. Because when you choose kindness even in the face of cruelty, when you offer second chances even after being betrayed, you don't just win. You redefine what victory means, proving that true heroes are not those who never fall, but those who get up and reach out to help others get up too. 2 years later, Kevin Washington, now 16, stood on stage at Detroit's Masonic Theater receiving the National Young Hero Award from the governor of Michigan. "Kevin taught us that heroes aren't born in mansions," the governor told an audience of 1,000 people. "They grow up in small apartments with big hearts." In the front row, Tracy wept with pride alongside Destiny, who breathed freely without worry. Razor and Cole gave a standing ovation when Kevin dedicated the award to my father, who taught me that saving lives is worth any sacrifice. The Marcus Washington Center had expanded to 5 cities, serving more than 2,000 families. Kevin ran the National Mentoring Program, connecting young people from the suburbs with entrepreneurs. At 16, he had already changed more lives than many adults in decades. Sandra, now coordinator of the center's free clinic, watched from the back row. 2 years of volunteer work had completely transformed her. She devoted 60 hours a week to caring for the families she had once despised, finding purpose in true redemption. After the ceremony, a reporter asked Kevin, How were you able to forgive those who humiliated you? I didn't forgive them, Kevin replied. I transformed them. The best revenge isn't destroying your enemies, it's turning them into allies through example. Kevin looked at Sandra, who was helping a child with asthma. Some people need to fall to learn how to fly. And when they fly, we all rise together. That night, Kevin visited his father's grave. Dad, that $15 I spent saving Razor turned into a revolution. You were right, a life is worth any sacrifice. A gentle breeze swayed the flowers on the grave, as if Marcus were agreeing. Kevin had learned the most powerful lesson of all, that true greatness isn't about defeating enemies, but about transforming hearts. That the best revenge is to build bridges where others have built walls. And that when you choose kindness even in the face of cruelty, you don't just change your own life, you redefine what victory means. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel for more stories that prove that kindness is the most powerful force in the universe, even when everyone around you bets on cruelty.